What's up? What's up? Hey, everybody. I'm about to bring in Facebook. See if I can go live on Facebook too. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Mm, 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 mm. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time doing this. Let's see. We want to try to bring in everybody in. Live. Here we go. Live. If I can't figure it out, then we'll just have to do this next time. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to waste a whole lot of time trying to get on. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. Hope you had a great weekend. It's Monday. And yeah, man, I've been having a whole lot of different topics on my mind this weekend. Let's see. I'm gonna try to get on live. I'm gonna try to get on live on Facebook too, just so people will know. Oh, I could just send a link, couldn't I? That is smart. That is smart. Let's be smart. Okay. Yeah. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's had a good week. Yeah, I had a good week. We just celebrated a birthday, family, my brother, and just had a good time chilling and relaxing yesterday and just being with family and everything. And it's crazy. This weekend I saw a post and somebody brought up the conversation of polygamy. And that kind of stuck with me. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about polygamy online, but I haven't been in a conversation where heard where I actually been in a conversation about polygamy amongst other guys. I've never really heard that conversation, a serious conversation at least, you know. So I don't know how a lot of guys really feel about polygamy, only because maybe I think maybe being in America, it still is a foreign kind of idea to us. But when I think about it, honestly, just based on American culture, it just seems like disaster just waiting to happen, you know, and it doesn't sound like something that's like enticing to me. Only because when I see I tend to think about what could go wrong in in uh in a situation like that. And I'm not even talking about the religious aspects of it. We know that Judaism dealt with it, Christianity's dealt with polygamy, and Islam has dealt with it. And there's different beliefs uh, between all the religions and how they see polygamy. And polygamy has a very long history. I mean, it's thousands. I mean, it's happened for thousands of years, so it's not anything that's new. If anything, it's a more new concept in American culture, because American culture has never really tackled polygamy, uh, and for multiple reasons. And one, because of the Christian background in America, and then not only that, there's a financial our financial system is a lot different. Whereas in places where polygamy is permitted, their their culture and their financial system allows allows uh, allows that. Uh, yeah. So yeah, let's dig deep into it. If you have any questions, I would love to answer your questions. And I'm still gonna while I'm talking, I'm still gonna try to bring in. Let's try to see if we can bring in a crowd from Facebook. I'm gonna try to bring in everyone from Facebook. Uh, let's see. I'm gonna try it one more time. Just gonna try one more time. Da, 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 da. I really care about my friends from Facebook, don't I? To be doing this. Okay, let's try it one time. One time. Webcam. Da 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 da. Let's just go live. I just want to go live. I just want to do one thing. Select the media source. All right, so it's not letting me do any of that. Okay. I don't get I'm not getting any oh, okay. I see. I see what I'm doing wrong. Okay. So, let's see if we can get it done. Easy, breezy. I'm not going to say beautiful couple girl because that's what. All right. So, let's see. Let's start. Um all right, forget about it. I just don't feel like going through all that. Okay. So, going back to the conversation about polygamy. There's so many different thoughts about it, and yeah, for me, I just look at it as as a headache. It just seems like a headache. Um, I mean, just the whole idea of what could go wrong in that kind of relationship. If you have two or more wives, and I just think about how women are built here in America versus in other countries, and women here in America are definitely not built for that kind of thing. And then not only that, I mean, just think about the arguments that can happen within that relationship. I mean, think about it, you argue with one woman and you're not really arguing with one woman. If you get in an argument, you're going to argue with both or all of them. That's just how it works. Women always will always take up for another woman. So when it comes to any kind of argument, so it's not gonna. I don't see it panning out in a good way. I'm not saying that that's always the case, but that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel about it. it. The worst case scenario, it just would be toxic. There's if you're dealing with a woman, if you're dealing with women from other countries, then maybe maybe. But honestly, even on a financial side, that just seems like a whole. Just if you're not rich, that's a conversation that shouldn't even be had. So there's a lot of people having these conversations and online, and I'm just thinking, yo, that's if you're not making, at least, honestly, I would be thinking in the hundreds of millions or the tens of millions. Like, you just can't just be a regular millionaire and have all these wives here in America. That just doesn't make sense to me. I think you definitely would have to have tens of millions before you can even start having that conversation with a woman and or with women saying, "Oh, I want to marry more than one woman." But even from a biblical side, it's nothing biblical that that the Bible definitely doesn't root for it. Uh, as far as the people in the Bible who did do it, it was something that was not necessarily permitted, but it was allowed. Like, for instance, God would allow it, but it wasn't necessarily something that he was pleased with or something that he was like, hey, you should do this. You know what I mean? And but if you look at it, you can't just look at it from a biblical sense, because then you have to realize that those people in the Bible, even this is thousands of years ago. So you're talking about a culture of people, and the mindset behind the culture of people back then was they lived in an agricultural culture, financially. So it's not like they were dealing with the type of currency that we're dealing with now. And then you're also talking about people who lived in the earlier and they lived during the building blocks of humanity. So think about all the hard work that had to come from the hands of people who lived back then. I mean, they were learning how to build. They were learning how to build architecture, as far as building buildings, building homes, building all the whole idea of building and creating cities and building cities and building streets and all of those things came from those people. So uh, if you think about that, then you will understand why polygamy was permitted. And also you have to think about, okay, if you're a man and you have a wife and you have children, you and your wife have children, and you end up having a whole lot of daughters and fewer sons, because remember, women are born more than, the birth rate of women is much higher than men. So you have more women than you have men. So the problem with that is, if you're a father, is you have more mouths to feed. If you have more sons than you have daughters, then you have more workers. You know what I mean? Even though you have more mouths to feed, your sons, you can put them to work. So you're actually making money off of your sons. You can't. Back in those days, you couldn't. If you have a daughter, that means that's another mouth to feed, but that's less work that's going to be happening, less heavy work. So you don't have somebody uh who's going to be able to pick up, huge stones, or be able to chop down trees. You know how heavy wood is? Like, I've chopped wood before, and that stuff is heavy. People who do that all the time, I don't know how they do it all the time, because that stuff is very heavy, you know what I mean? uh and think about the people back then. They didn't have the tools that we have today, you know what I mean? So they had to figure out how to create tools and how to move heavy objects from one place to another, and how to manipulate objects in order to build, so you had to have strong sons. You had to have a lot of manpower back then. So if you have a lot of daughters, that means you had less manpower, and you were going to make less money. You were going to make, you well, not necessarily money, but you wouldn't be able to own a whole lot because you have so many daughters. And you would, let's say there was some land that you want to buy, or or not, that some land that you wanted to own, or you have, or you wanted to own sheep or own flock to be able to feed your family and everything. Well, you need manpower in order to protect it. You need manpower to be able to maintain it, because you had people that would steal from you. You had people that would raid from you. And not only that, you have to fight off even animals, wild animals. Who's going to fight off wild animals? You need uh, manpower. So the whole reason, going back to this whole polygamy thing, if you have a lot of daughters, as soon as your daughter is developed, you want to marry her off. You want to marry her off. Why? Because you want to make sure that, well, if you marry her off, that's number one, that's one less mouth to feed. And then two, you have hopes that she can bear children, so you have grandchildren, and hopefully you have grandsons. If you have grandsons, now I have workers. So I guess that's the mindset of people back in those times. If you have grandsons, if you have sons, you have workers. You have people who can help you build. You can build a legacy. you know um if you have daughters, then you have women who can produce more children. Children, and rearing children was a main thing for women in those times. So if you have a lot of daughters, a lot of times, and there wasn't a lot of men around, you're gonna marry all your daughters to that same man. You know, you're gonna marry all your daughters. You're trying to get them out the way and trying to have not just get them out the way, but you're trying to have grandchildren. You're trying to build a family. So that's kind of that's kind of the a synopsis of why it exists, and there's more to it. It's not just a one trick pony type thing. And I think now when we look at polygamy, we kind of not we, but there's a lot. I'm seeing a lot of glorification around it, as if uh, it's like some kind of fantasy type thing. And um, yeah, to me that's kind of weird. Um, you know, as a fantasy thing, because I mean, Uh, maybe some people have that fantasy, but I just never. That's just nothing that kind of makes me feel any kind of way. In fact, I feel the opposite of it. I'm personally, for myself, against it. Um, yeah, that's something I would never really dive into. And then it's not like I don't make tens of millions of dollars. So that's another reason why I wouldn't do it, because it's expensive to maintain, to have all those women. And me, I'm a person, I like silence. So you get a lot of women together, that's a lot of that's a lot of talking right there. So um yeah, me, I'm just kind of like, I guess I'm different. I would like to hear some guys speak on it. Because a lot of guys have different opinions on this one. Because I've seen online, uh, I've seen some men who have a whole system, as they have children by these women, and the women take care of each other's children. And I think the whole idea is that they all have their own homes or something like that. I don't think they all live in the same homes. Um, I know in certain parts of Africa, they still practice that, and the women will live in different homes. But even that's kind of weird for me, just because I would want all my children in one home. Um, and it just, to me, when I look at it, it just seems like breeding ground for problems. A breeding ground for jealousy, envy, uh, just more baby daddy problems, um, and children having daddy problems, because children will want to fight for their father's love and affection and support. And when you have all those kids from multiple women, it gets harder to for me. I would think that it gets harder to have uh not loyalty, but to focus on all from to really show your love to 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 children from different mothers. And let's be real, some people treat different. I've seen this where men would treat certain children a certain way because of how they feel about the mother. So that happens. I'm not going to act like that doesn't happen. you know some men, if they don't feel the mother, they're not feeling the mother like that. The children of that mother would feel it a lot harder and feel it a lot more. But yeah, I would love to get your take on it. So yeah, holler at me. Hit the like and subscribe. Also, talk in the inbox. Give me some yeah, just give me some comments, and let me know how you feel about it, because I know everyone has feelings about this. So yeah, just hit the comments and just go for it, and talk about it, and we can talk more in depth about it later on. All right, so this is all I got for today, and I'll talk to you later. All right, have a good one.